"Would you like to have dinner with me?" A white woman asked the lonely CEO on Christmas. Thorn Ashland stood in his corner office on the 45th floor of Ashland Industries in Manhattan, watching snow fall over the city on Christmas Eve. At 38, he was one of the youngest black CEOs of a Fortune 500 company, a self-made billionaire who'd built a tech empire from nothing. He had everything money could buy, except someone to spend Christmas with. His assistant Kira Noble had left hours ago, rushing to catch a flight to see her family in Chicago. His business partners, Vernon Chase and Dalton Reed, were both with their families. His own parents had passed years ago, and his sister Noelle lived in London with her family. "Another Christmas alone," Thorn muttered, loosening his tie. He told everyone he was fine, that he preferred solitude. In truth, he was desperately lonely. His phone buzzed. A text from Vernon. "Stop working. Go home. Watch a movie. Be human for once." Thorn smiled sadly. Vernon didn't understand that work was easier than facing an empty penthouse. Work didn't remind him that at 38, he'd built an empire, but forgotten to build a life. He finally left the office at 9 p.m., the building empty except for security. The lobby was decorated festively, a massive Christmas tree, garlands, lights, but it felt hollow without people to enjoy it. "Merry Christmas, Mr. Ashland," called Elijah Porter, the night security guard. "Merry Christmas, Elijah. Your family doing well?" "Yes, sir. Grandkids are visiting. House is chaos, but good chaos." Elijah hesitated. "You heading home to family, sir?" "Something like that," Thorn lied, unwilling to admit his isolation. Outside, Manhattan was transformed. Snow fell gently, families walked bundled together, stores glowed with holiday warmth. Thorn felt like a ghost observing life without participating. He walked instead of taking his car, needing movement, needing to feel something beyond the cold numbness that had become his constant companion. Success had cost him relationships. The higher he climbed, the lonelier he became. Women were interested, of course, but they wanted Thorn Ashland the billionaire, not Thorn the man who still remembered growing up poor in Atlanta, who'd worked 3 jobs through college, who'd faced racism at every level of his climb. His last relationship, with Simone, a brilliant marketing executive, had ended 6 months ago, when she'd admitted she was more interested in his status than him as a person. Since then, he'd withdrawn further into work, convincing himself that success was enough. It wasn't, but admitting that felt like weakness. Thorn found himself at a small diner on the edge of the financial district. Murphy's Place, open 24/7, serving workers who had nowhere else to go. He'd discovered it years ago during an all-nighter and returned occasionally when his penthouse felt too empty. Inside, the warmth hit him. Christmas music played softly. A handful of customers sat scattered, night shift workers, people traveling, others who, like Thorn, had nowhere else to be. He slid into a corner booth, ordered coffee, and stared out the window at the falling snow, trying not to think about how Christmas used to feel when his parents were alive, when family gathered, when he wasn't so isolated by success. That's when she walked in. "Hello, my Stop Racism family. Thank you for tuning in today. Before we dive deeper into this beautiful love story, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your country and state in the comments below. Also, I'd love to know your thoughts. What did you think of the story so far? Do you believe love can truly conquer prejudice? Let us know in the comments. We love reading them. And trust me, your words motivate us to keep making these videos. Let's make this video reach at least 50 comments. Your support means the world to us, and it drives us to create even more meaningful content for you. So don't forget to comment, share, and keep spreading love. Penelope Sage entered Murphy's diner, looking like she'd walked through a snowstorm, which she had. Her blonde hair was damp, her coat covered in snow, her cheeks pink from cold. She was in her early 30s, carrying 2 grocery bags that looked heavy. She ordered hot chocolate at the counter, and Thorn found himself watching her. Not from attraction initially, just curiosity about another person alone on Christmas Eve. The waitress, Mabel Crawford, greeted Penelope warmly. "Back again, honey? That's 3 nights this week." "Mrs. Crawford makes the best hot chocolate in Manhattan," Penelope said, smiling. "Besides, my apartment's depressing. At least here there are people." Still no plans for Christmas? No. My family's in Oregon. Flights were too expensive this year. So it's me, a frozen dinner, and whatever's on TV. Thorne recognized the forced cheerfulness. He used the same tone when pretending isolation was a choice rather than a condition. Penelope took her hot chocolate and sat a few booths away. She pulled out a book, but Thorne noticed she wasn't reading, just staring at pages, lost in thought. The diner's owner, Murphy himself, an Irish immigrant named Declan Murphy, brought Thorne's coffee and nodded toward Penelope. She's been coming here all month, works at the bookstore down the street. Living alone in the city, can't afford to visit family. Breaks my heart. People alone on Christmas. I'm alone, Thorne said quietly. You've got family, though. I've seen you on the phone with your sister. In London. Different time zones. Different life. Still family. That girl over there? She's got nobody nearby. That's different. Murphy returned to the kitchen, and Thorne sat with his coffee, fighting an internal battle. The old him, the one before success built walls, would have reached out, offered connection. But the current him, the CEO who'd learned that vulnerability invited exploitation, hesitated. Then Penelope dropped her book. It slid under Thorne's booth. They both bent to retrieve it, nearly colliding, and laughed awkwardly. Sorry, Penelope said, accepting the book. Clumsy. No problem. Good book? It's okay. Mostly just giving my hands something to do besides dwelling on spending Christmas alone. She said it without self-pity, just honest admission. I know that feeling, Thorne heard himself say. Penelope studied him for a moment, really looked at him. Not the expensive suit or the watch that cost more than most people's cars, but him. Her expression was curious, kind. Would you like to have dinner with me? She asked suddenly. Tomorrow. Christmas dinner. I was planning to cook for myself anyway. Turkey, stuffing, the whole thing. But cooking for one person on Christmas is depressing. I'd rather cook for two. The invitation was so unexpected, so genuine, that Thorne didn't know how to respond. You're inviting a stranger to Christmas dinner. You're not a stranger. You're someone alone on Christmas Eve, drinking coffee in a diner at 10 p.m. Same as me. We're lonely together. Might as well be lonely together over actual food. You don't know anything about me. I know you're kind. You picked up my book. I know you're thoughtful. You've been nursing that coffee for 20 minutes like you don't want to leave. And I know you're alone, because happy people surrounded by family aren't here on Christmas Eve. Thorne should have declined, should have maintained boundaries. Instead, he found himself saying, Okay, yes, I'd like that. Penelope's smile was radiant. Really? Okay, great. Here. She grabbed a napkin, wrote her address and phone number. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. And please don't feel obligated to bring anything expensive. Just yourself. I'm Thorne. Penelope. Pen for short. It's nice to meet you, Thorne. After she left, Thorne sat holding the napkin with her address, feeling something he hadn't felt in months. Anticipation. Christmas morning, Thorne woke early and immediately questioned his decision. What was he doing having dinner with a stranger? She could be anyone. Someone who'd recognized him and was angling for money. Someone with ulterior motives. Someone. He stopped himself. Vernon was right. He'd become so suspicious of everyone's intentions that he couldn't accept genuine kindness anymore. He called his sister Noelle via video chat. She appeared on screen with her 2 kids running chaotically in the background. Thorne, Merry Christmas. Why are you alone in that massive penthouse? I'm actually having dinner with someone tonight. Someone? Like a date someone? Like a stranger who invited me to Christmas dinner someone. Noelle's expression shifted from surprised to concerned. Please tell me this isn't some woman who recognized you and wants your money. She invited me before knowing who I am. She works at a bookstore, couldn't afford to fly home to Oregon. We were both alone at a diner on Christmas Eve. She offered dinner. That's it. That's sweet. Thorne, maybe this is exactly what you need. Human connection without agendas. Or maybe I'm being naive. When did you become so cynical? The brother I knew trusted people until they gave him reason not to. That brother got burned repeatedly. Women who wanted status, partners who wanted access, friends who wanted investment. Cynicism is protective. It's also lonely. Go to dinner. Let someone be kind without assuming the worst. After hanging up, Thorne spent an embarrassing amount of time deciding what to wear. Too casual suggested he didn't care. Too formal would intimidate. He finally chose dark jeans and a cashmere sweater, expensive but understated. He stopped at a high-end market for wine and dessert, then paused. Penelope had said not to bring anything expensive. Would expensive wine make her uncomfortable? He exchanged the $300 bottle for a modest $30 option and locally made pie instead of designer chocolates. Meanwhile, Penelope was having her own crisis in her tiny studio apartment in Brooklyn. What had possessed her to invite a stranger to Christmas dinner? Her best friend Ivy Brennan called while Penelope was preparing stuffing. "You invited W.Cho to Christmas dinner?" A guy from the diner. He seemed nice and lonely. Pen. That's how murder documentaries start. She invited a handsome stranger to her apartment. He's not a stranger. His name is Thorne. He's thoughtful. And Ivy, you should have seen him. He looks so sad sitting there alone. I couldn't not invite him. What if he's a serial killer? What if he's just a lonely person on Christmas? Not everyone has bad intentions. You're too trusting. You're too paranoid. Besides, he seems, I don't know, safe, kind. There was something in his eyes, like he was surprised anyone would be kind to him. After hanging up, Penelope continued cooking, her small apartment filling with the smells of turkey and homemade rolls. She'd gone all out. This was the first Christmas dinner she'd cooked alone, and she was determined to make it special. At 4:55 p.m., her buzzer rang. Her heart jumped. This was real. A stranger was coming to dinner. She buzzed him up, checked her appearance one more time. She dressed simply in jeans and a red sweater, and opened the door. Thorne stood in the hallway holding wine and pie, looking nervous and hopeful. Penelope felt her breath catch. In better light, she could see him clearly. He was extremely handsome, with intelligent eyes and a vulnerability that contradicted his expensive clothes. "Hi," she said, suddenly shy. "Hi, I brought wine and pie. I hope that's okay." "It's perfect. Come in." Penelope's apartment was tiny, maybe 400 square feet, but she decorated it warmly for Christmas. A small tree in the corner, lights strung along the windows, a table set for two with mismatched plates that somehow looked charming rather than shabby. Thorne felt something unexpected. Comfort. His penthouse was sleek and modern, professionally decorated, emotionless. This space felt lived in, loved, real. "Your apartment is wonderful," he said honestly. "It's tiny and the heat's inconsistent and my neighbors are loud, but it's mine. First place I've had without roommates. I'm proud of it." As they sat down to dinner, the initial awkwardness faded. Penelope was easy to talk to, genuine, curious, without the calculated interest Thorne was used to from people who wanted something. "So what do you do?" she asked, passing him turkey. "I work in tech, management." Not a lie, just incomplete truth. He wanted to be just Thorne for one evening. "Do you like it?" "It's consuming. I'm good at it, but sometimes I wonder if being good at something is the same as it being right for you." "That's deep for Christmas dinner," Penelope laughed. "But I understand. I love working at the bookstore. I'm surrounded by stories and readers. But I'm 32 with no savings and no career path. My parents think I wasted my English degree. What do they want you to do?" "Something practical. Marketing, corporate communications, anything that pays more than $15 an hour." "But Thorne, I'm happy." "Isn't that worth something?" "It's worth everything. Most people trade happiness for security and regret it." "Is that what you did?" The question was perceptive. "Maybe. I grew up poor, like really poor. So success became everything. Proof I'd made it, that I'd escaped. But now I'm successful and lonely. The trade-off wasn't as good as I thought. So make different choices. You're not trapped. It's not that simple when you have responsibilities, people depending on you, a company to run." He stopped, realizing he'd said too much. "A company? I thought you said management." "I manage a company. I'm the CEO." Penelope's eyes widened. "CEO of what?" "Ashland Industries. Tech company. We do—" "I know what Ashland Industries does. You're that Thorne? Thorne Ashland? Billionaire tech guy?" "Yes. I'm sorry I didn't say something earlier. I just wanted to be regular for one evening." Penelope sat back, processing. "So, when I invited you to dinner, you thought—" "What? That I was some gold digger who'd recognized you?" "No. Maybe initially, but no, you were genuine. That's why I came. I should be offended, but honestly, I'm more shocked. I invited a billionaire CEO to my tiny apartment for Christmas dinner. That's mortifying. Why? This is the best Christmas I've had in years. Your apartment is warm and real. The food is incredible. The company is—" He met her eyes. "You're wonderful, Penelope. I'm grateful you invited me. I'm grateful you came, though I might have cooked something fancier if I'd known I was feeding a billionaire. This is perfect. Fancy would have ruined it." They continued talking through dinner and dessert, discovering unexpected connections. Both had lost parents, hers in a car accident 5 years ago, his to illness. Both valued authenticity over performance. Both struggled with loneliness despite very different circumstances. "Money doesn't fix lonely," Thorne admitted. "It just gives you a bigger space to be lonely in. Poverty doesn't fix it either. It just makes you lonely while stressed about rent. So we're both lonely, just at different tax brackets." "Exactly, though your tax bracket has better heating." They laughed, and Thorne felt something crack open inside him. The walls he'd built around his heart, the protection that had become a prison. "Can I ask you something?" Penelope said as they cleared dishes. "Why were you alone on Christmas Eve? You're successful, handsome, kind. Where's your family? Dead or distant? And relationships haven't worked out. Women want what I represent, not who I am. That's incredibly sad. It's reality. Penelope, when you're wealthy and black, people make assumptions. Either I'm a threat or I'm a prize. Nobody just sees me. I see you, just Thorne. Not your money or your company. You." The words hung between them, heavy with possibility. After dinner, they moved to Penelope's small couch, drinking wine and continuing to talk. Outside, snow fell steadily, muffling the city's noise. "Tell me about growing up," Penelope said. "What was young Thorne like? Poor, ambitious, angry at systems designed to keep people like me down. I was the smartest kid in my school but couldn't afford college. Worked 3 jobs, got scholarships, fought for everything. Chip on my shoulder the size of Atlanta. Do you still have the chip?" "Sometimes. Success helped, but racism doesn't disappear with money. It just changes forms. Now instead of being denied opportunities, I'm questioned if I deserve the ones I have. People assume I'm diversity hiring or affirmative action, not brilliance and hard work. That must be exhausting." "It is, and isolating. I can't talk about it with most people. White colleagues get defensive, assume I'm attacking them. Even some black friends don't understand because I've made it. But making it doesn't erase the daily microaggressions, the assumptions, the way people clutch their purses when I walk by despite my $5,000 suit." Penelope listened without interrupting, without defending, just witnessing his experience. When he finished, she said quietly, "Thank you for trusting me with that. You didn't try to explain it away or make it about your feelings. Most white people do. I can't understand your experience. I can just listen and believe you. That's more than most people offer." They sat in comfortable silence. Then Penelope said, "I need to be honest. When I invited you to dinner, part of me was nervous, not because of you specifically, but because I've been raised with subtle racism my whole life. Small-town Oregon, very white, lots of unconscious bias. I'd like to think I'm not racist, but I probably have blind spots. That's incredibly honest. I want to be better. Not performative better, actually better. Thorne, if I say or do something ignorant, will you tell me? I'd rather be corrected than remain ignorant. That's a big ask. Black people are exhausted from educating white people. You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't put that on you. But I appreciate the willingness. Most people don't even acknowledge their bias. Penelope, the fact that you're thinking about it puts you ahead of most. Still, I'll do my own work. Read, learn, not expect you to be my teacher. Deal." As the evening stretched past midnight, neither wanted it to end. Finally, Thorne stood reluctantly. "I should go. Let you get some sleep. Will I see you again? Or was this a one-time Christmas thing? I'd like to see you again, if you're interested." "I'm interested. But Thorne, I need to know, is this real interest or am I a curiosity? The bookstore girl who doesn't want your money. You're not a curiosity. You're the first person in years who's made me feel seen beyond my bank account. That's rare. That's precious. Okay, then yes, I'd like to see you again." Thorne left her apartment feeling lighter than he had in months. The snow had stopped. Manhattan was silent and beautiful. And for the first time in a long time, he felt hope. His phone buzzed. A text from Penelope. "Thank you for spending Christmas with me. It was the best one I've had in years." He texted back. "Same. Sleep well, Penelope." That night, Thorne lay in his penthouse, feeling the contrast acutely. Expensive sheets, climate-controlled perfection, city views, but no warmth like Penelope's tiny apartment. No genuine connection like their conversation. He'd spent years building an empire. Maybe it was time to build a life. They started seeing each other regularly. Coffee dates, walks through Central Park, dinners at small restaurants where Thorne could be anonymous. For 3 weeks, they existed in a bubble where his wealth and status didn't matter. Then reality intruded. It started when Thorne's business partner Dalton saw them having lunch at a cafe. He approached the table with barely concealed surprise. "Thorne, didn't expect to see you here. And this must be Penelope Sage. Pen, this is Dalton Reed, my business partner." Dalton assessed Penelope with the calculating look Thorne had learned to recognize, sizing up worth, determining threat level, judging appropriateness. "Penelope, how did you two meet?" "At a diner on Christmas Eve," Penelope said, not elaborating. "How unconventional." "Well, Thorne, we should discuss the Singapore deal. Call me." After Dalton left, Penelope said quietly, "He hated me." "He doesn't hate you. He's just protective and surprised. Surprised I'm not from your world, not wealthy or connected or whatever he expected." "Pen, it's okay. I knew this would happen eventually. Your world meeting my world. I just hoped for a longer grace period." The tension followed them. That evening, Thorne's assistant Kira called about a charity gala. "The annual Ashland Foundation event is in 2 weeks. You usually attend alone, but I thought maybe this year you'd bring someone. A date?" Thorne looked at Penelope, who was reading on his couch. "Maybe. I'll let you know." After hanging up, he broached the subject carefully. "There's a charity gala in 2 weeks. Would you want to come? As my date?" Penelope looked up, clearly conflicted. "A gala?" "Thorne, I don't own a gala dress. I've never been to anything like that. I'd be completely out of place." "You wouldn't be out of place. You'd be with me. I'd be the bookstore girl crashing your world. People would judge. They'd assume I'm using you for money or status. Thorne, I don't think I can handle that scrutiny. So we hide? Never go anywhere public because people might judge? I'm not saying hide. I'm saying maybe we take this slower. Get to know each other better before involving your whole world. Or you're scared of judgment, of my life, of what being with me publicly means? Yes, I am scared. Thorne, you're a billionaire CEO. I make $15 an hour at a bookstore. Those worlds don't mix. And honestly, I'm terrified of the assumptions people will make about me. What assumptions? That I'm a gold digger, that I'm using you, that I'm not good enough for you. All the things Dalton was clearly thinking today. I don't care what Dalton thinks, but I do. Because he's your partner, your friend, part of your life. If everyone in your world thinks I'm inappropriate, that affects us. It affects you professionally. Thorne wanted to argue, but he couldn't. Because Penelope was right. His world would judge her, make assumptions, whisper about the CEO dating a bookstore clerk. And as a black man, those whispers would be laced with racial overtones too. "So what do we do?" he asked quietly. "I don't know. But Thorne, I can't be your secret. And I can't face your world unprepared. I need time. How much time? I don't know that either." They sat in uncomfortable silence. The bubble that had protected them finally burst by reality's intrusion. A week later, gossip reached Penelope through an unexpected source. She was working at the bookstore when a customer, a wealthy woman named Cordelia Hunt, who frequented the store, approached her checkout line. "You're Penelope, right? The girl dating Thorne Ashland?" Penelope froze. How did you know that?" "Darling, everyone knows. It's all over the society pages. Thorne Ashland, one of New York's most eligible bachelors, dating a bookstore clerk. People are talking. What are they saying? That it's sweet he's slumming. That you must be exceptionally talented in some area to catch his attention. That he's having a midlife crisis. The usual speculation when someone of his status dates down." The word stung. "I'm not dating down, and I'm not using him." "Of course not," Cordelia said. But her tone suggested she didn't believe it. "I'm sure your intentions are pure. It's just that people wonder, you know. what a man like Thorne sees in someone so ordinary. After Cordelia left, Penelope's co-worker Marin Fox approached sympathetically. Don't listen to her. She's a snob who judges everyone. She's not wrong, though. I am ordinary. Thorne is extraordinary. Why would someone like him be interested in me beyond novelty? Because you're kind and genuine and see him as a person, not a bank account. That's rare in his world. But the damage was done. When Thorne called that evening, Penelope was distant. What's wrong? He asked immediately. Do you think I'm ordinary? What? Where's this coming from? Penelope explained the encounter with Cordelia. She said you're slumming, that I must be exceptionally talented in bed to catch your attention, that you're having a crisis. Is that what people think? I don't care what people think, but I do. Thorne, I can't handle being judged constantly, being seen as a gold digger or someone who doesn't belong in your life. So what? We break up because strangers are judgmental? Pen, if we let other people's opinions dictate our relationship, we've already lost. It's not just opinions, it's reality. We're from different worlds. Maybe this was doomed from the start. Don't say that. We're good together. These past weeks have been the happiest I've had in years. Me too. But happiness doesn't erase reality. You have galas and business dinners and a life I can't access. I have a tiny apartment and a minimum wage job. How do we bridge that gap? By not caring about the gap. Pen, I don't care that you work at a bookstore. I care that you're kind and genuine and see me clearly. Isn't that enough? I want it to be. But Thorne, there's another issue we haven't discussed. Race. You're a black man dating a white woman in America. That comes with its own complications. I'm aware. Are you? Because people will make assumptions about us, about you. Some will say you're selling out, dating white. Others will fetishize our relationship. Have you thought about that? Of course I have. Pen, I've faced racism my entire life. Dating you doesn't change that. It just adds another layer. But I'm not going to let racism dictate who I love, who you love. The words hung between them. Thorne hadn't meant to say it, but now it was out there. Yes, love. I'm falling in love with you, Penelope, and I don't care what anyone thinks about it. Penelope was quiet for a long moment. I'm falling in love with you too. But Thorne, love doesn't erase the complications. It just makes them harder to navigate. Then we'll navigate together. Please, Pen, don't let fear win. How's this story hitting you so far? Tell us in the comments. If you're loving it, type 1. If not, type 0. We want to know what you think. Penelope spent days wrestling with her decision. Her friend Ivy was blunt during coffee. You're self-sabotaging. A wonderful man loves you, and you're finding reasons to push him away. I'm being realistic. His world will never accept me. His world doesn't have to. He just has to. Pen, you've been alone since your parents died. You've been scared to let anyone in. Now someone's finally broken through, and you're running. I'm not running. You are. You're using class differences and racial complications as excuses to avoid vulnerability. Because if you really try with Thorne and it fails, that'll hurt more than hiding behind reasonable objections. Ivy's words struck deep. Was she self-sabotaging? Using external complications to avoid the internal fear of being hurt? Meanwhile, Thorne faced his own challenges. His sister Noelle called from London, having read about his relationship in business news. Little brother is in love. Tell me everything. Thorne explained how they met, how Penelope made him feel seen, how for the first time in years, he felt hopeful about building a life beyond work. She sounds wonderful. So what's the problem? She's scared. Of judgment, of not fitting my world, of the racial dynamics, and I'm scared too. Of losing her, because my life is too complicated. Thorne, you've faced boardrooms full of racist investors who didn't think a black man belonged in tech. You've built a billion-dollar company despite every obstacle, but you're scared of a relationship. Business has rules. Relationships don't. I can't strategize my way through love. No, but you can choose it. Choose Penelope, fight for her, show her that your world can bend to accommodate what matters. After talking to Noelle, Thorne made a decision. He called Vernon and Dalton to his office. I need to talk about Penelope. Both men exchanged glances. Vernon spoke first. Thorne, we're concerned. You've known this woman a month. She's from a very different background. Stop. I know what you're going to say. That she's after my money, that it's inappropriate, that I'm being naive. Save it. I'm in love with her, and I'm not hiding that or apologizing for it. We're not asking you to hide it, Dalton said carefully. We're asking you to be cautious. Protect yourself and the company. The company will be fine, and I don't need protection from a woman who makes me happy. What I need is support from my partners. Can you give me that? Vernon and Dalton looked at each other. Finally, Vernon nodded. If she makes you happy, then yes, we support you. But Thorn, at least have her sign a prenup. No. If I marry Penelope, it'll be because I trust her. Prenups suggest doubt. I'm done living in doubt. That's either very brave or very stupid, Dalton muttered. Maybe both, but it's my choice. That evening, Thorn showed up at Penelope's apartment unannounced. She opened the door looking surprised. Thorn, what are you doing here? Making a choice. Pen, I know you're scared. I know my world is intimidating and the complications are real, but I'm choosing you anyway. I'm choosing to fight for us, to navigate every obstacle, to build a life that honors both our worlds. The question is, will you choose me back? Tears filled Penelope's eyes. I'm scared of getting hurt. So am I. But Pen, being scared and being brave aren't mutually exclusive. We can be both. Scared, but choosing each other anyway. What if I'm not enough? For your life, your world, your everything. My world needs to adjust to accommodate you, not the other way around. And if people can't accept that, they don't belong in my life. Penelope stepped forward, wrapped her arms around him. Okay, yes. I choose you. I choose us. Despite the fear and complications and judgment, I choose this. They kissed on her doorstep, and Thorn felt something settle in his chest, certainty that this woman, this connection, was worth fighting for. The charity gala arrived, and Penelope stood in Thorn's penthouse, feeling completely out of her depth. He'd hired a stylist, not to change her, but to help her feel confident. The result was stunning. A simple navy gown that highlighted her natural beauty without trying to transform her into something she wasn't. You look beautiful, Thorn said, appearing in his tuxedo. I looked terrified. That too. But Pen, remember, we're together. They can judge all they want. We know the truth, which is that a lonely CEO met a kind woman who invited him to Christmas dinner, and they fell in love. Simple story. Everything else is noise. The gala was at a historic Manhattan hotel, filled with New York's elite, business leaders, politicians, celebrities, old money. Penelope felt every eye turn when she entered with Thorn. Who is she? Where did Thorn find her? She's not from our circles. The whispers followed them, but Thorn kept his hand on her back, steady and reassuring. Vernon and his wife Giselle approached first. Thorn, and you must be Penelope. I'm Vernon Chase, Thorn's business partner. It's nice to meet you properly, Penelope said, shaking hands. Properly meaning without me ambushing you at lunch? Vernon smiled. I apologize for that. I was surprised. But Thorn's been different since meeting you. Happier, more present. That matters more than conventional appropriateness. Thank you. That means a lot. Not everyone was as welcoming. Cordelia Hunt, the woman who judged Penelope at the bookstore, made a point of approaching. Penelope, you clean up nicely, though that dress looks familiar. Did Thorn hire the same stylist I use? How generous of him to help you look presentable. The implication was clear. Penelope needed help to belong here. Before Penelope could respond, Thorn stepped in. Cordelia, I'd appreciate you treating my girlfriend with respect. Otherwise, we'll have a problem. I'm just making conversation. You're being condescending. Stop. After Cordelia retreated, looking offended, Penelope whispered, Thank you for defending me. Always. But Pen, you don't need defending. You belong here as much as anyone. I really don't. Look around. These people have wealth and status and history. I'm a bookstore clerk wearing a borrowed gown. You're a woman who invited a lonely stranger to Christmas dinner out of pure kindness. That's worth more than all the old money in this room. The evening progressed with mixed reactions. Some people were genuinely warm, curious about their unconventional meeting, supportive of their relationship. Others were coldly polite, clearly judging. The racial dynamics added another layer. Penelope overheard a conversation between two older white men. Ashland's dating a white woman now. Guess he's made it far enough to forget where he came from. Or he's smart. White woman on his arm makes him seem less threatening to investors. The casual racism. The reduction of their relationship to strategic optics made Penelope furious. She wanted to confront them, but Thorn gently guided her away. I heard it, but engaging gives them power. I learned a long time ago that some battles aren't worth fighting. How do you handle it? The constant judgment, the racism? Badly, most days. But Pen, tonight, I have you beside me. That makes it bearable. You being here, choosing to face this world with me, that means everything. Later, during dinner, Dalton's wife Geneva sat beside Penelope. I know tonight's overwhelming. When I married Dalton, I felt the same way. Working-class girl crashing high society. But here's what I learned. Their judgment says more about them than you. You love Thorn. He loves you. That's all that matters. How did you get past the imposter syndrome? By realizing I wasn't an imposter. I belonged because Dalton chose me. Same as you belong because Thorn chose you. Your worth isn't determined by bank accounts or social standing. It's inherent. Thank you. I needed to hear that. As the evening ended, Thorn and Penelope stood on the hotel's rooftop terrace, looking at Manhattan's lights. We survived, Penelope said. We did more than survive. We showed everyone that we're serious, that this isn't a fling or a crisis. We're building something real, despite everyone's judgment. Because of it, every time someone doubts us and we prove them wrong, we get stronger. Pen, I know tonight was hard, but you were amazing. Graceful, confident, exactly yourself. I've never been prouder. I couldn't have done it without you. You did it with me. Partnership, remember? We faced things together. They kissed under the stars. Two people from different worlds building a bridge between them with love and determination. 1 year after their first meeting at Murphy's Diner, Thorn and Penelope returned to the same booth on Christmas Eve. Mabel brought them coffee and pie, smiling knowingly. Look at you two. A year ago, you were strangers. Now you're, what's the word? A power couple. We're just us. Penelope laughed. No power, just partnership. But things had changed significantly. Penelope had left the bookstore to pursue a master's degree in library science, funded by a scholarship she'd earned. She still worked part-time at a nonprofit literacy organization, teaching reading to underserved communities. I'm proud of you, Thorn said, watching her talk about her students. You found your calling. I found my purpose. Turns out helping people learn to read is more fulfilling than retail. Who knew? I knew. I saw it the first night when you talked about books with such passion. You were always meant to teach. Thorn had changed too. He'd stepped back from day-to-day operations at Ashland Industries, hiring a COO and focusing on strategic direction and philanthropy. He'd started the Ashland Foundation for Educational Access, providing resources to students from backgrounds like his. I'm happier, he admitted. Working less, living more. You taught me that success without life is hollow. Their relationship had weathered storms. Penelope had faced continued judgment from some of Thorn's business associates. Thorn had navigated commentary from some in the black community about dating a white woman. They'd both learned to focus on their truth rather than others' opinions. Remember when I was terrified of your world? Penelope said. Now I've met your business partners, attended a dozen galas, and survived Thanksgiving with Noel's family via video call. Remember when I thought I'd be alone forever? Now I have you and everything makes sense. Cheesy, but I'll allow it. After coffee, they walked through Manhattan as snow began falling, just like their first night together. Thorn guided Penelope to Central Park, to a small bridge they'd walked across dozens of times. Pen, there's something I need to say. Okay. A year ago, you asked a lonely CEO to have Christmas dinner with you. You invited a stranger into your home because you saw someone alone and wanted to help. That single act of kindness changed my life completely. Thorn, let me finish. This year, you've taught me to be vulnerable, to trust, to build a life instead of just a company. You've faced judgment and speculation and stayed anyway. You've been patient with my baggage and honest about your fears. You've made me better. He knelt on the snowy bridge, pulling out a small box. Penelope's hands flew to her mouth. Penelope Sage, will you marry me? Will you keep teaching me how to live? Will you build a future with me that honors both our worlds? Will you be my partner in everything? Yes, Penelope sobbed. God, yes. Thorn, yes. He slid the ring on her finger, a simple but beautiful design she would have chosen. Herself. They kissed as snow fell around them, the city glittering with Christmas lights. "I can't believe this is real," Penelope whispered. "A year ago, I invited a stranger to dinner. Now I'm engaged to him. Best dinner invitation ever given. Best acceptance ever." They walked home together, no longer strangers, no longer alone, building a life that proved love could transcend class and race and every barrier society constructed. 3 years later, they married in a small ceremony that blended their worlds. Thorne's business associates, alongside Penelope's bookstore co-workers, his family from London, her family from Oregon, people of every background celebrating love that defied category. Mabel from Murphy's Diner attended, crying through the entire ceremony. "I knew when I saw you both that Christmas Eve. Two lonely people finding each other. That's what the holidays are for, connecting the disconnected." Thorne and Penelope built a life together that honored both their backgrounds. They split time between his penthouse and a modest townhouse in Brooklyn that felt more like home. They attended galas and volunteered at literacy programs. They navigated racial dynamics with honest communication and mutual support. "People still judge us," Penelope told Ivy during coffee 5 years into their marriage. "They assume I married him for money or he's having a crisis. Do you care? Not really. We know the truth. That's enough." And the truth was simple. A white woman had asked a lonely black CEO to have Christmas dinner with her. He'd said yes. And in that yes, in that willingness to be vulnerable with a stranger, they'd both found something neither had been looking for: genuine connection, authentic love, partnership that transcended every barrier. Years later, Thorne and Penelope would tell their story to their children, 2 daughters who inherited their father's brilliance and their mother's kindness. "How did you meet?" the girls would ask. "Mommy invited Daddy to Christmas dinner when he was alone," Penelope would explain. "And Daddy said yes because Mommy was brave enough to ask," Thorne would add. "That's it? That's the whole story? That's the important part. The rest, the complications, the judgment, the obstacles, those are just details. The story is simple. We chose each other, and we keep choosing each other every day." And they did. Through challenges and triumphs, through judgment and support, through everything life brought, they chose partnership over isolation, love over fear, connection over comfortable distance. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask a lonely person, "Would you like to have dinner with me?" And sometimes the wisest thing you can do is say yes.